And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at an expansion for a great game, Role Player. Now in Role Player, the whole theming of the game was, hey, I'm building my character, rolling out the dice, getting my character together. And then the game ends. You build your character. It's cool, it's a great theme. But now, what if at the end of the game, you gotta fight a monster? And that's what this is all. Monsters and minions. Because now there's a monster you gotta fight at the end of the game. And there's some minions you can fight during the game. So you're still building your character up, but you can do a little bit of fighting along the way. Does that make the game too complex? Let's find out. At the beginning of each game, you're going to pick a giant monster. We have the Kraken, the Chimera, the Dragon, the Vampire, Giant Troll, or the Demon. You'll notice there's two for each monster. That's because one of them is used in a solitary game. There's rules for a solitary game now. So let's say I picked the Giant Kraken. That's the monster we're going to fight this time. Then I'm going to take a look. Each of the monsters comes with their own deck. 3 cards, obstacles, 3 locations, and 3 attacks. I'm going to randomly take one of those from each deck and put them here on the board. This is kind of the powers of this beast here. You're also going to have a deck of minions here, and there's all sorts of minions in this deck. And each of these minions, they're separated into 1 dots and 2 dots. You're just going to put the 1 dots on top of the 2 dots and turn the top one face up. So, over the course of the game, you can decide on your turn, when it's the market phase, instead of buying a market card or discarding one and taking 3 gold, you can go on a hunt. When you go on a hunt, you're always going to get a die to fight. But before you go on a hunt, if you want to, I'm like, I don't want to fight the elemental. I can stick him on the bottom of the deck and put a null on top. I have to pay 3 gold each time I do that. All right, a kobold. I think I can handle a kobold. You then, like I said, get 1 die here, although you can buy more dice. If you have experience, you can spend experience or gold to buy more dice. Then you look at the card. It says +1 combat die for each die in your deck's attribute row. So let's say I have 1 more die there. I'm like, all right, 2 dice seems fine. So I attack them with 2 dice. I rolled a 9. Well, if you look here, if I had rolled a 1 through 6, I would have got 1 experience and a wound. If I rolled a 7 through 9, I would have got 2 experience. If I had rolled a 10 or higher, I would have got 3 experience and an honor token. If I roll 7 through 9 or 10 or higher, I kill him, and I'll take this card as a trophy that I've killed him. If I had not killed him, then he would have just run away, and another card would have come up. Now we have the owlbear. And so that's what you do for the hunt. Now these experience tokens do a couple things. Like I said, you can use them to have more dice when you fight later on, but also, and there's a little card that comes with the game, you can also use experience points to discard. You can use 2 to get rid of an injury token. You can use 1 to re-roll a combat die, and you can use 5 of them to take any attribute action on your board. You can just pick one of these attribute actions and do it, which is a pretty neat thing to do. Now, if you ever take a trophy, if you ever kill the monster, you can look at the location card like this. Ooh, okay. And then the next time you do it, you can look at the obstacle. The next time you do it, you can look at the attack. And the game comes with tokens, LOA, that you will take to show which of those you've looked at before, and I guess you can look at them again if you want to. Now this is how the game will go. At the end of the game, after everything else is finished, you're going to fight this guy. So the same thing happens. You're going to get 1 die. You can buy more dice with experience points. And then we're going to look at each card here. So the location, for example, here says all players get 2 experience for each blue die in their character sheet. Oh, great. I have 2 blue dice. So I'll take some experience points. And then this one says all players who meet their charisma attribute, you'll gain 2 combat dice. I didn't do that. Okay. And then this one says the player with the fewest experience gains 3 combat dice. Well, that's definitely me because everyone else has like 20. I'll pretend. So I get 3 more dice. So now I have 4 dice. I'm going to roll and attack the Kraken. After I roll my dice, 6, 12, 17, I might have, let's say I have 2 honor chips here. So I'd add 2, and then I have 2 wounds. So I subtract 2. They kind of cancel each other out. So 17, I'll look at the card here, and 17 gets me 2 more points at the end of the game. Although this is after final dice, remove all pairs of 6s. Whew, I didn't roll any pair of sixes, so I'm fine. And that's pretty much what the creature part of the game adds. And there's going to be special powers and things. Let me show you some other stuff. The game comes with some more dice if you want to add another player. Who cares about that? Boost dice. Okay, so look at these. These are really cool. Most dice go from 1 to 6, like the regular dice do. These go from 3 to 8. We have 7s and 8s on them. That's amazing. You throw these in the bag and pull these out. Now, the disadvantage of these is they are not colors, so you won't be able to match with these dice here, but they will let you get your stats higher. Although sometimes you can go too high with your stat based on these, but that is just a small addition. Easy enough, you just add them and throw them into the bag. So speaking of other new things here, there's just tons of new cards, so there's a lot more replayability. So we have some more backstory cards. You know, it doesn't really matter. They're just more variations here, so that gives you more things. More importantly, we have a bunch of, like I mentioned, the game comes with tons of different locations and cards for the different characters. We have some more alignment cards, and some of these have stars all over them. I mean, look at this one, Dissenter, 311. They just have different variations of the other ones that have been in the game before. What's really neat, though, in this particular version is that there are more cards for each of the different classes. So now, when you pick a color, so let's say I pick red, I'm not just going to get the class from the original game, and where you pick either side, now you have 2 more classes for each one. So we have the Warlord and the Knight, the Illusionist and the Enchanter, the Elementalist, the Shaman, the Alchemist and the Psionic, the Assassin and the Scout, the Crusader, and the Priest. Now, some of these have to do with new things. So, for example, the Scout, before the market phase, I can look at the top 3 cards in minion deck, put them back in any order. Or the Assassin, who gets +2 to any combat roll. I like him, by the way. Here, when scoring your backstory card, you can treat boost dice, these, as any color. Well, that's really neat. Once per round, you can exchange 2 experience for 3 gold or 5 gold for 2 experience. So they all have some abilities that kind of mess with the new things that are in this game. There's also some more market cards. With the new market cards, you're not going to be using all the market cards. You're going to shuffle them in and take a lot of market cards out. So you're never quite sure what's going to show up in any game. There's a new type of market card called scrolls. These are cards that when you get them, you immediately do something. Like here, take an armor card. Here, take 2 wisdom attribute actions. Or here, take someone else's scroll card. But there's still more other things you can see. There's weapons and also there's things that will now deal with, like for example here, you can spend an experience, increase the face value on one of your dice. So there's ways, or get 2 gold for each minion trophy. So again, you're going to have to pull these cards out if you're not going to be using the monsters and things, but I don't see why you would ever do that. But there's a lot of scrolls. But again, like I said, there's other traits, and look at that trait, Fearless, just straight 4 points for $9. No, sorry, that's from the original game. Never mind, still a cool card. No, it's from this expansion. And you might be wondering, how do I know if it's from the expansion or original game? Because it shows a little 2 down there in the corner, the little die. So, all right, well, just spending some more time looking at some of these cards. A lot of different types of things that you can see. All right, that's cool. A lot of new pieces, a lot of things added in this game here. We have the new start player token here. We have some sheets that you can use to write your character down after the game is over. I don't think you should use it in the game. It's probably too powerful. I really like the attack dice. They're translucent. Dice are smaller than the rest of dice, easy to tell apart. They look really good. The boost dice, of course, are cool. They're a little, I don't know, I guess they're the slightest bit different than the original dice, but you can barely tell when you're pulling from a bag. You won't be able to notice. And the new monster cards are huge. And then everything else, like I said, if it wasn't for that little 2, you wouldn't even be able to tell if they had come from the original game or not. The game also comes with 4 new big class character boards, the Bastia, the Dark Elf, Wrathborn, and Construct, and some cool things here. Basically just different variations on your different stats that you have. It also comes with more coins and different things to add to the game. Everything fits seamlessly and all fits in the original box. So Role Player is a game that's really grown on me over time. I liked it when I first played it. I thought it was a very good game. And the more I played it, the more I've enjoyed it. In fact, when I first played it, I very rarely keep games in my collection these days. And so it just missed the cut. And I was like, I like it, but I don't have room in my collection. And I went out of my way to find it again and put it back in my collection because I enjoyed it that much. Now, when you add in this expansion, oh my goodness, so much better. This is already in the running for me for best expansion of 2018 so far because it just really, really adds to the fun of this game. There's a lot of things. First, variety. I like expansion has more variety, more classes, more, alignments, more all that stuff. Great. All right, but that's just more stuff. That's cool. The boost dice, they're so cool. They're in there and they're like, I want a boost die and I want to make my stat better. But honestly, taking a boost die I need the colors, to make sure my and so that's good, right? It's not that boost dice are automatically better. They look fantastic, but you don't always choose them because you want the specific colors, especially since many times those colors also help beat the monsters. So that's a nice balance that they did here. The monsters themselves, it's great. It's another way to get points at the end of the game. A lot of points can come from killing the monster and doing well fighting the monster, but if you do that, you might be ignoring other things. So there's this monster, this minion fighting you can do. It gives you another choice in the market phase. A market phase was not always interesting before. You're like, I can't afford anything here, or I don't want anything here. I don't want to waste my money on any of this stuff. And so I'll just sell a card for 3 coins. But now you can say, I'll go fight a monster. So that's an interesting thing. And the monster, you're not worried. I mean, taking some wounds is not the end of the world. It just hurts you a little bit when you fight the final boss. But this just giving you that third action really helps keep the game interesting and fun as time goes by. The market deck is diluted, and I'm not opposed to this because before, if you remember, one of the minor problems I had with the game was there was like one set of armor, and if you're red or white, you wear that set of armor. So if 2 players pick those colors, they're both kind of vying for the same suit of armor. Well, as time has gone by, and I realize it's not that big of a deal, but that set of armor may not even be completely in the game anyway, and there's so many other things. The scrolls, they're neat, but they're one-shot things. Do I want to waste money on something that's one shot, or would I rather get a weapon that I can use over and over? And so the market is going to be more diverse and more interesting as you play through it. Put all that together, and it's something I will always play with. Is there any negatives to the expansion? I thought that the LOA tokens were a little fiddly. I mean, I can kind of remember if I've looked at them, and we kept forgetting what the order was. We put them in order. It's LOA. We have to remember that, but I don't even know why that mattered, which one you looked at first, but that was a little fiddly. There's some more cards for the market. You can play with a 5th player, or since you're playing, even when you're not playing with a 5th player, you're using a few more market cards than you normally would be, so there's some extra cards out, and the numbers on them didn't seem to match up perfectly for the number of players, but that's a very minor thing. We were able to figure all that out. Other than that, fantastic. Amazing expansion. The kind of expansion where I won't even bother if I'm teaching new people the game. I'll just throw this right in. They won't even notice it. It's just it's an easy addition to make. Gives them more options, more races, more classes, and then just fighting monsters, which kind of is the point of building a character to begin with. Fantastic, fabulous, love it. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.